Algebra 2, Lesson 40, Abstract Fractional Equations. So we've already done fractional equations, and if you remember, we can solve those two ways. We can either multiply each term by the common denominator, or we can multiply each term by what they're missing in a value of 1 to create the common denominator. So we'll be doing both. First, we'll start with multiplying by the common denominator, and then second, we'll be multiplying by each individual term. And you can decide which one works best for you, which one you want to choose. So with practice A, we'll multiply the whole equation by the common denominator. We'll see here that the common denominator is just going to be mx. So if we multiply every term by mx, our common denominator, what we're going to get here is we will get we're going to get 5x. Here we'll get minus amxy. And then here, what we get is just PM. And then here we get SMX. From here, we have to keep singling out M. So we want to get all the M's on the same side. This term has M, this term has M, and this term has M. So we'll add AMXY to each side. So then that gives us 5x equals PM plus SMX plus AMXY. The next thing we're going to do here is we're going to factor M as our greatest common factor out of this term. So we'll rewrite it as M times P plus SX plus AXY. So that gets our M completely isolated from this whole term. We can think of this whole term as one idea, and that equals 5x. So the last thing to do is to divide by that term. That cancels, and then we divide this side by P plus SX plus AXY, and then we have the value for M. That works out pretty well. Now the second, and that would be our final answer, because all we have left on this side is M. M is equal to all of that. Now the second method, which I think this method works better for whole numbers, but if we're working with a bunch of letters and irrational numbers, it's easier with letters. But the second method is to find the common denominator, which is xm, and then multiply each term by what they're missing. So this one would get multiplied by m over m. This one would get multiplied by x over x, and this would get multiplied by mx over mx. So what this does is it gives us m squared plus px equals zmx, and all of that is over mx. And if you remember, once we do the common denominator for the whole equation, we can just get rid of the denominator and deal with the equation in the numerator. So then we get m squared plus px equals zmx. And in this one we're trying to find x. So the way we do that is we put all of our x's on one side. So we'll subtract px from each side. That side will cancel. All we're left with is m squared equals zmx minus px. And then we're going to factor out x as the greatest common factor. So then we get x times zm minus p. And the last step is the same. We divide by this this parenthesis, or this polynomial, on each side. And then all we're left with on this side is x, and that is what x is equal to. So that would be your answer. Again, you can pick which method you prefer. They both work well. I guess it just depends on how your brain works and which one works more to your liking.